Hello, hello, and hello. We're back. Well, I guess I should say specifically, I'm back, but I'm back with Ellis. I am Dr. Monique, your board certified family physician, you know as a physician in the kitchen. Welcome to another episode of Veganish, where we talk about all things plant-based, how to invest in your health one plate at a time, and we talk about my journey toward a more plant-based diet, and I bring you along for the ride, and we share and grow together. Ellis, it's been a minute. Have you had a good summer so far?
I have. It's been a wild summer. It's been like back, and I'm dating myself, but it's been a cruel summer.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah,
uh,
yes. Little MTV shout out there. I think they're celebrating their 40th. I heard something about MTV. I grew up on MTV, so I speak your language. But yes, it's been a summer. I have to tell you, first of all, let's welcome everybody. I see folks are starting to come on in. This is where we recognize you. Come on in, tag a friend, because sharing is caring. Drop your city, your state, your zip code, your continent, wherever you are watching us from. I am so thankful to have you with us. If you're listening to the sound of my voice, thank you, because there are probably about 1,000,005 things you could be doing with your 30 minutes, but you chose to stop by here. So I do appreciate that. And if you're watching this on the replay, hashtag replay for me. So I see Charissa, I hope I'm saying that right, Jones from Minnesota, Midwest. Midwest always comes through first. I don't know what it is. They are timely folks in the Midwest.
I see that. I see that.
They are punctual. But thank you so much, Charissa. But yeah, I mean, I feel like, oh my goodness, I've so much has been going on with me, but just a short version. A lot of folks are getting ready for back to school. I don't know if some folks may have even started.
First day was today for my son.
There you go. And I've got empty nester loading. I actually on Saturday I take my son to A&T, Aggie Pride. Y'all work with me now. I went to a PWI. So I'm a little challenged. So I'm gonna get it right. By the time he graduates, I will be able to say Aggie Pride correctly. But Saturday is move-in day, so we've got a lot going on, and just trying to enjoy a little bit of the summer, right? So some of that sun, get some traveling in. How about you? I mean, Ellis, what have you been up to?
Man, just kind of. I kind of really was looking forward to school starting. I know you're not because you're empty nestering. Like I said in Friday, you're gonna cry in the car. So, but
That's what I've heard.
yeah, so yeah, it is what it is. But just really trying to settle back in for the second half of this year. Got a lot of programming, a lot of really big programming that we've been planning here at Black Doctor. So just excited about the partnerships that we made. Went to the NMAs.
Yeah.
That was my first NMA, so that was fun. And really, I guess the best thing about that was being able to see people in person, because I've been doing this
Tell
with
me
people
about
for
it.
so long, and it's kind of like, wow, I could just see you, put my hands on you, and there was a lot of hugs and just like, oh my gosh, that kind of situation. Or you're taller or you're shorter than I thought.
I know. I completely understand. Actually, last weekend was our regional conference. Folks who don't know, I'm a Delta, and we had our regional conference in Richmond last weekend, Thursday through Sunday. So yes, it was a lot of like, good to hug necks and so forth. And but with the times we live in, though, right? So there was an announcement though about monkeypox and COVID, and it's just things that we have to think about now, which is kind of a good tie-in because on this show we talk about things to keep you healthy, and eating healthy. Guess what? It's good for your immune system too. And so now more than ever, we need to be doing what we can to control what we can, because there's so much we can't control. So we're here to talk about what you can control. But I see folks are coming in. Listen, I want to kind of go in order because I said the Midwest was coming through. So we had Ypsilanti, Michigan, then St. Paul, but then Connecticut and New Jersey are in the house. I'm from New York, so go ahead, Tri-State, stand up.
And Agnes, even though you can't see it, Agnes is from NYC. We know Agnes is a regular on the program, and so shout out to Agnes.
NYC. That's right. We got the whole tri-state area there, and then we've even got South Carolina, which is right down the street from me. I'm holding down Charlotte right now. So thank you all so much. I have missed you all. So we're gonna continue our series. So we think back a few weeks. We did we borrowed from the sort of famous movie, The Wiz, where we talked about the color of the day. And so we're talking about eating the rainbow.
Yeah.
We've talked about that before. But we thought, why not give each color its due, right? Because
Right.
it's so vast, it's so much, and we want to just kind of just newsflash. I'm not gonna say anything new here, okay? Breaking news: vegetables are good for you. What? No, get out. Yes, it's true. But I think it's good to just kind of rehash it, look at them in a slightly different way, and maybe even give you some ideas and tips for maybe incorporating new ones or refreshing some of your favorites. So we'll get into that as well. So we've done red and we've done purple.
Yep.
Kind of blue purple. We kind of lump those together. And so today the color is, I understood the assignment. The
Yeah.
color is green. So
My shirt is green, which is why it's kind of fuzzy because I have a green screen here. So it is green, which is why it's not projecting as green, but it's more of like a hunter kind of collard green.
That's not the color green, but that's not the right color green for a FAMU though, is it?
It's not. It's not. It's not. But my only family green are like T-shirts and stuff. So I was at least trying to.
I'm gonna have to call the Alumni Association on you, Ellis. I'm gonna have them tighten you up now. Come on now, you got to represent, particularly if you come to Chapel Hill in a few weeks now.
Bad people been on me. I'm like, I may need to slide on up there.
For those of you who don't know, I went to Carolina. I'm an alum of Carolina, and Ellis is an alum of FAMU. And the FAMU is coming to Chapel Hill in August 27th, I believe. So we're trying to make our schedules work so we can meet up in person. But
right.
Yes,
but if I come to Chapel Hill, I'm wearing straight orange on y'all. I ain't gonna be no green. I'm gonna be going a straight orange.
I would expect nothing less, and I will be head to toe in the baby blue, just so you know. So, all that aside, we're going to go ahead and get into. I love rivalries. I'm a big college basketball fan, and so there's another school about 8 miles down the road from Chapel Hill, and it gets intense. So I'm here for all of it. But yeah, let's get into this green. I want you guys to start dropping what your favorite greens are. I mean, we all know about collard greens. I mean, Ellis, just you took me back. You said collard greens. I'm like, oh my goodness, like some pot liquor. Who here hasn't had some delicious pot liquor when you're sick? Like that's just certain folks have their chicken soup. We've got our pot liquor, right? So it's just. But start putting in the chat for me. What do you think about when you think of greens, or more specific, what's your favorite thing to do with anything green? It doesn't have to be greens, but any type of green food, because the color green, as we see here, go green. The color green, what do we think about? It's vitality, it's growth, it's newness, right? Springtime, the grass turns green. It's a new season. It's wealth, right? Money. Green is the color of money. And so one of the things I say, if you follow me on social media, Physician in the Kitchen, one of the things I always say is invest in your health one plate at a time. And it's really that simple / not so simple, right? Because on this show, we talk about, we kind of know what we need to do, whether you want to call yourself vegan or plant-based, or you eat everything under the sun. We kind of know, right? We should eat more plants and vegetables, but it's sometimes a little challenging to translate that into a plate. So I encourage people just to do, one plate at a time. And I love that. And Ellis, I want you to talk a little bit about the Financial Fridays, because I think that's a really great tie-in to what we're doing here. So talking about investing in your health one plate at a time. Ellis, you want to drop that stat that we were talking about right before the show?
Yeah, so we were talking about another show that we have on Fridays here. It's called Financial Freedom Fridays with Gus Tucker, and it's at 3 p.m. Eastern every Friday. And the reason why we do that program is like, you're on blackdoctor.org. You're supposed to be talking about health and wellness. Well, we're talking about financial health. And because the number one reason people go bankrupt, file for bankruptcy, is for medical bills. And so you don't want that to be an albatross, especially as we get older. We understand that's when more health concerns start to pop up. So what we're doing here on this show is we're having you make this investment now that's going to pay off later on in life, where you're not dealing with major health concerns because you've chosen to eat and exercise right when you were younger, and then later on, so then you could have that money that you've been saving up and investing to have a higher quality of life, less stress on your body, less stress on your finances, and overall you will live a happier and healthier and probably a longer life because you're healthy and you're financially healthy and you're mentally strong because you're not worrying about bills and other things like that.
It definitely all ties together, and I love that. I love that blackdoctor.org is doing that, because you hear Black doctor and you tend to think just health related, but I think that's so key to bring that financial piece in too. So kudos for that. So
Shannon, boy.
Shannon, oh yeah, Shannon is setting it off early, and I love it because I'm here for all of it. Swiss chard, Brussels sprouts, celery dipped in peanut butter. Okay, with the boost of protein, we talk about can vegans get enough protein in their diet? She boom right there. She just did it. Cucumber salad, cabbage slaw, or blanched cabbage, and grapes are tasty. So. Everybody, that's the show. I think I don't think there's really much for me to talk about. But yeah, Shannon, I love all of that. You'll see some of those things that you have said are actually on our slide. And it's so funny, when I had my assistant make the slide, she had all these greens, and I was like, well, yeah, but don't forget about the cucumber and the kiwi and the artichokes and the asparagus, and it goes on and on and on. So some of the plant chemicals. So we've talked about, like, well, what is it, the color, where does that color come from? It ain't not to get too technical, but we've all heard of chlorophyll, right? Think way back to those science classes we used to take, right? We had to take a little bit of botany, at least. Is it just me? Is it just me that had to take New York City public schools?
We all took it. It was physical science or something like that in high school.
Yes. Something like that. So yes, but green, the plants are green because they have chlorophyll, they have flavonoids, polyphenols. All of these are just big fancy names for healthy plant chemicals, right? Take home message: the color is different healthy plant chemicals. And what do those chemicals do? What do those chemicals do in our body? Again, nothing you haven't heard before, but antioxidant. That is kind of like the buzzword, right? Because as we talked about on this show, inflammation, antioxidant, and anti-inflammatory are two huge things two huge benefits that plants give us. Because as we've talked about, inflammation and oxidative stress are the basis for so many of the chronic diseases. Okay, now, so many of the chronic diseases that we see. Y'all, if the lights go out, I'm just going to keep going. I don't know.
Get behind me, Satan. We talking about good food and
eating all the way behind me. That's all right. We'll just keep it going. I'll take it back old school with the flashlight on the phone if I have to. But so the what was I saying? So the healthy chemicals and the are what give them the color. But so the inflammation, that's what I'm sorry about, lost my train. Antioxidants and anti-inflammatories are so important because inflammation and oxidative stress are the basis for so many of the chronic diseases we see: heart disease, diabetes, joint problems, bowel problems, inflammatory bowel disease, so skin conditions, and even mental stress. We know that there's a mind-body connection, and that can be aggravated by just the day-to-day life of pollution and ultraviolet rays and things. And if you smoke, so it piles on and on. But so some of these things that we're talking about, again, we've talked about these benefits before, but leafy green and green fruits and vegetables are full of vitamin K, which is important in blood. You're helping your blood to clot. It's an important role that the liver uses, an important ingredient that the liver uses to make clotting factors, which is why particularly if you eat a lot of leafy greens and you're put on a medication called Coumadin or warfarin to help prevent blood clots, super important that you are getting your levels monitored and letting your doctor know if there's going to be big swings in your diet, because that can affect your blood tests. Yeah. So, we talk on the show all the time about this. Information is meant to inform and educate, but please, please, please go back to your doctor and be sure to discuss your specific health concerns with what we're saying here on the show. But then you've got your other vitamins A and E, and magnesium and other electrolytes, minerals, things that are good for you. So, and there's one stat I wanted to show. I always have to have a statistics when I come on here with you all, but there's research that suggests that eating dark leafy greens, and by that we mean, of course, your kale and your spinach and your cabbage and your chard, If you ate that nearly every day, you could lower heart disease risk by almost 16%. And that may sound like a small number, but when you look at all the like other risk factors you may have, when you look at the United States as a whole and heart disease being the number one killer, that translates into a very big
Well,
impact.
that's significant. That's significant.
It really does.
That is significant. So Doc, help me. I heard something, but I want to make sure because we hear a lot of things, and Dr. Google can be dangerous.
It can be because it did not attend the medical school, so there's that.
Right. So I've heard that like collard greens and dark leafy greens have more vitamin C than like citrus fruit.
So that's a good question, and I would be inclined to believe it. I know that bell peppers have more vitamin C than citrus fruit, so I'd have to fact check on the greens. But I'm glad you singled out greens because I do want to mention about I was doing a little research for the show, and I came across an article from a few years ago that's saying kale. Kale is one of those things people either love it or they hate it. And I don't know. Kale can be pretty polarizing. But for those of us who love it, you actually want to watch the pesticide content. So, we're on one hand, we're telling you, oh, eat these leafy greens, eat these vegetables. But then on the other hand, it's like, watch where you have to be just mindful of that. And it was interesting, some of the vegetables that are grown lower to the ground, like kale and spinach, can sometimes be higher in those pesticides because of how they're sprayed for bugs. So that's where sometimes going organic can be a little more helpful, because people think, well, it's if you've been to the grocery aisle, the organic area, the produce aisle, those do tend to be a little more pricey. And so it may not be realistic or feasible for you to buy everything organic, but if you want to pick and choose, that might be a place to start. And there's a group that publishes, it's like the Dirty Dozen list, and so you can Google Dirty Dozen, produce, and pull up this list. But it has basically which of these fruits and vegetables tend to be the highest kind of offenders for having these pesticides in them. So yes, so on our slide we've got kale, and I just want to, before we leave kale, give kale a chance. People say give love a chance. Give kale a chance because sometimes it's the texture, and I speak as a texture issue person. Sometimes it really can just be the way that the texture is, and it may be off-putting. But if you even just like marinate it in a little bit of an olive oil and a little bit of a balsamic vinegar or something like that to start to break those leaves down a little bit, you'd be amazed. Kale chips, think about making them using it in a different way. If you're not a big fan of it, put it in a smoothie, hide it in a smoothie, hide it in a casserole, right? When my son was,
I'm over here slow blinking on you like that. Like
I'm just gonna ignore. I don't know what's going on. I promise you, I paid my bill this month. I don't know what is going on. The power man is not looking for me, so I don't know what's going on. But we're gonna ignore that. But so for parents out there, you're trying to boost your kids' intakes of take of these fruits and vegetables, or even yourself, hide them, put them in a casserole, and put a cup of spinach or kale or something in a casserole, and that can really help to boost your intake. Shannon said kale sauteed with white onion, Willside greens, and gently seasoned. Yes. So Shannon, I'm gonna need for you to put your address in the chat, because I'm coming to your house, because it sounds like she is well versed with the greens. Massage your kale prior to eating raw. Exactly. Thank you, Sharissa. That's exactly what I was saying. That really helps to kind of break that down. So see, you guys, you don't have to take that from me. These are folks chiming in, telling you, giving you some really helpful tips here. So, and then think about different ways. We talked about different ways to use it. Kiwi can be, again, with texture, the fuzzy outside, but once you peel that, grilled kiwi. Have you ever had grilled kiwi?
I've never had grilled kiwi. The most I've probably ever done with kiwi is floated on top of a adult beverage. So,
You can have a point. You can have a point for
yeah.
that.
So I got to work on my Kiwi game. That's all I think I'm saying. I got to
That's
work on the Kiwi game.
There you go. Hey, it's a process. And green apples. Think next time you're
Yes.
making a salad, make a julienne or little thin strips of green apples. You'd be amazed. They add a crunch. They add a little bit of tartness. A little.
Yes.
It's amazing. It's just really amazing. And for those limes, don't forget your zest. We tend to kind of throw away it. Some of us, if we don't think about it,
Yeah.
zest your limes, your lemons, your oranges. Not only does it just take the flavor up a notch or 10,
1,000.
but 1,000, but it's got there's nutrients in that zest. It's in
Yes.
the skin, so don't forget about that. As well.
Limes are fantastic. I love limes. The green apple, the Granny Smiths.
Yep.
I go down with my Granny Smiths. I will. That's the only. That's an apple I can just eat because I cut it up in different ways.
Mhm.
Into a salad is a fantastic idea. Gives that crunch, that tartness that offsets some of the sweetness from from
Exactly.
tomatoes and other things like that. So I'm with most of it. Like I'm a big celery fan. Artichokes. I got to work on that game. I just
Artichokes, for me, and I'll be honest with you, I've got to learn how to like prep an artichoke. I haven't, crossed that frontier yet. So I'm still using kind of the ones in the jar. But of course, who doesn't love a good spinach artichoke dip? Probably not the one that you get from some of the restaurants that's got all the butter and the
the
grease in them.
cheese and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're going to make a spinach artichoke dip, try to do a healthier one. You still can enjoy it, just not without all those calories.
Broccoli all
And
day, though. Broccoli all day.
broccoli all day. And I can't forget about my friend avocado. This is another one that I find that people are kind of like, or they like it. But avocado really is like a superfood because
Yeah.
it's got the good fats, right? The omega-3, it's got protein, it's got vitamins, it's got just tons and tons and tons of nutrients. And it's a wonderful egg replacer.
Yeah.
It can be used as an egg replacer. In fact, I have a recipe in my book, Doc Fix My Plate, for avocado waffles that uses the avocado in place of the egg. And so you still get the kind of the fattiness, but you're not getting it from an egg. So lots of different ways or ways that you can incorporate these. But before we go, I do want to kind of just give some more. I want to give like some numbers because I think that kind of helps when we talk about calories because we know that these are not going to be very high in calories, but there are some that I do want to call out to you to be just mindful of. Avocado, and this is per 100 grams, which is about a cup. 100 grams is about a cup. So when you look at things like artichokes, which is like 20 calories per 100 grams, cucumber 15. I mean, nothing. But the ones that kind of stand out on this list are avocado, which does have 170 calories per. So if you're eating like a cup of avocado, think about it that way. So probably about if you were to eat maybe one large avocado in one sitting, it's going to be probably about 170 calories. The other one that stood out, and I thought this one was interesting, was edamame beans because of the soy that's in them. Those are 125. That gives you 125 calories per 1 cup or 100 grams. And green olives. And I was kind of a little surprised by that one, but green olives is 145 calories per 100 grams. But spinach is only 25, kiwi is 60. So, I just wanted to call those out because the ones that are higher in calories, of course, are the ones that have a higher fat content, but it's the good fats.
Yeah.
So
I'm Southern, so I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, I'm all about them collards, turnips, mustards. I'm all about those kind of greens. Arugula, if you haven't had arugula, it's a little bitter. I'm talking to my folks that are still on that veganist journey. Arugula can be a little bit bitter. So if you're going to put it in a salad, you got to offset it with some sweetness. Otherwise, it can be a little bitter.
It's got a little peppery kick to it. So
Yeah.
I use it in pesto. I'll use it in like basil is normally pesto is normally made with basil. But if I'm using arugula, just keep that in mind. You don't have to add as much pepper because arugula has a little peppery bite to it. So
Yes. A good recipe if you're still eating meat is but if you go like a turkey burger, some arugula and a slice of a green apple, put that that's a fantastic burger. And then use a nice garlic aioli. It gives you a whole different types of flavors to deal with it, and a slice of tomato in there as well. But
Or avocado, if you want the fatty, you just put the avocado. Shannon has a great question. She says, with the olives, does that add to your sodium intake, especially for those of us with high blood pressure? I am in that club with you. Yes, you definitely want to be careful with that. You can even, rinse them off, because if they're in a brine and they're then it's pretty salty. If you want to rinse them lightly before you use them. But that is definitely a great question. We were just looking at calorie count, but anything that is preserved like an olive, the artichokes, if you're getting the jarred or canned artichokes, definitely look at those labels, look at the sodium content. Keep it in mind that the goal for the day, the recommended, is 2,000 milligrams per day. Might be even lower if you have certain chronic conditions. But yes.
Black folks, 750.
But that is not an official recommendation.
It's not.
That is coming from Ellis.
Ellis Dean only.
Let's put that disclaimer out there. The lawyers are not coming for me. That is Ellis's recommendation. Exactly. The current recommendations are 2,000 milligrams per day, 1,500 for, again, certain chronic conditions, heart, kidney conditions, things like that. But yes, thank you, Shannon. That was an excellent question. And please drop your questions in the chat. We're here to exchange information. So
can I share a quick story?
Yeah.
Okay. So remember we talked about on this show, we talked about reading your labels, right? So we said, labels. So my son asked me he likes it when I make hot wings, so I'm already in a bad space, right? So he's like, because I like it when you make some homemade hot wings. So I went and bought the wings to cut them up, and I said, I'm going to get some hot sauce to spread on the wings. So I started reading the label, because there were some restaurants, I'm not going to mention their names, but there were some restaurants that have their hot sauce in the store. It's like, oh yeah, he likes this hot sauce from this restaurant when we go there, so let me get it on the wings. Mm-hmm. I turned instead of just, because most times I would have grabbed it, put it in the buggy, kept it moving. But I was like, oh, I know how to read labels now. So I turned it over. It was over 1,000 milligrams of sodium in that one little jar of hot sauce. And I was like, it was like 40-something%, almost over 50%, like 55% of your sodium allotment for the day on a 2,000, calorie diet. And I was like, and I started getting, I started pulling up another one. Oh my God. And I finally found one that was down to like 16% sodium. And I said, okay, that's workable. And then I even used less than I normally would have used when I made the wings, because I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, maybe you ought to put it on the side and just dip it, because it is, so that way you can control the amount in there. But please, my point is, read your labels.
Those labels. Yes, that's an excellent point. And a couple of things that I want to say. Kudos to you, first of all, for doing that. And also, though, if the whole bottle was 1,000, with hot sauce, you typically would just be doing a sprinkle. But if you're using a whole bottle to make your wings, then that's where it definitely adds up. And also, too, we talk about ways to kind of get the same effect but a different path. So like liquid smoke and some cayenne pepper, right? Yeah. So you can still get that heat. For those of y'all who like to break out in sweat when you eat, I don't understand it, but hey, that's your thing. Some cayenne pepper, some red chili flakes, right? Experiment with some Asian spices.
Oh, I did. I seasoned the wings so well that it didn't need sauce, because I was like,
well, there you go.
I use a little seasoned salt. I'm black, you can't have seasoned salt, but it was mainly pepper and onion powder and garlic powder and cayenne pepper and smoked paprika, and really try to bring out the flavor in there. I'm not gonna tell you all my secrets, but it's just really flavorful. So like when they ate it, they were like, "This is so good," and it didn't really need a lot of sauce. So I was like, "Yeah."
Well, there you go. But yeah, there's definitely multiple ways to get the flavor and the taste without those harmful additives. And I love what you said about reading labels, because you feel a way as a parent when you see what you've been doing rubbing off on your child. So as I said, my son's about to go off to college, and he's been in the gym. He's trying to like get ready for school. I was like, okay, but he he was reading labels. Because he's a big cheese dairy person. He drinks milk, he eats cheese, and he said, "No, Mom, that's too much dairy." And then the other day he was like, "What almond milk should I get?" And I was like, whose child is this? Like, what happened? So it's just so good to see that he's becoming, especially as he's about to leave the nest. And I'm hopeful that gives me a good, warm, fuzzy feeling that he's going to be, mindful of what he's eating. Because I've given him the lecture about the freshman 15, or I think it's freshman 20 now. I don't know.
I think it's 20 now because a lot of the schools are incorporating like fast food, like chains.
Exactly.
So now it gets higher because I just ate it in the cafeteria. And we ate a lot of fresh foods and things like that. So I didn't get the full 15, but now it's
a thing. It's a thing. Yeah. So it's good that he's going into it kind of prepared and knowing what to look for. But yeah, so that is our time. I have enjoyed being back with you guys. I've missed you guys. So we'll tune in next week. We're going to follow. We're going to continue. They talk about the yellow brick road. We're on I don't know, whatever color road we want to call this, but we're going to continue our colorful trip through the produce aisle.
That's right.
With color next week. So come with your questions, come with your ideas. And as always, I am Dr. Monique, your board certified family physician, who as a physician in the kitchen. Be sure to follow me on all social media at Physician in the Kitchen. Get my new vegan cookbook. I've got recipes in there that features a lot of these things we talked about at docfixmyplatebook.com. And Ellis, take us home.
Yeah, so we're going to ease on down this road to next week. I need to. And I want to make sure you check us out next week. We're going to replay this program this weekend. So if you miss something or you share it with a friend, please like and share this program. Follow Doc. Get the book. We're on a journey. As you can see, she's further along her journey than I am on mine, but I am with her on this journey, and it really has been a positive thing. So I'm speaking from the heart for everybody that's watching this program. This has been a really positive thing for me in terms of just getting healthier, understanding that what I'm doing now is going to pay off. And it's baby steps. It just find new ways to incorporate, lower the salt, lower the sugar, add more vegetables, reduce that fatty meat.
Shannon, do you see the question she just put in the chat? That is a whole show, and we're gonna have a show. Her question is, how do you start to become vegan in small doses? That's gonna be an upcoming episode, because that is a question
we're gonna run that back, because that was the very first show. That was the very first show, but we got to bring that back.
We will. But that very first show was almost a year ago. In October, it'll be a year.
That's what I'm saying. We haven't talked about it in a long time, so we should
worth revisiting. So Shannon, stay tuned. We will definitely be revisiting that topic, because you are not alone. Lots of people have questions, and that's what we're here for. So great.
And how to do it on a budget, and how to do it
on a budget. You don't have to spend your what is it called? Whole paycheck is what they call the grocery store. You don't have to do that, right? You can be vegan at Walmart or even the dollar store. So for wherever you are on the economic bandwidth, we will talk about that. So until next time, be well. Invest in your plate, in your health.